If I were turning 65 this year and I felt confused by Medicare, overwhelmed with all the ads, and concerned about making a costly mistake, here is exactly what I would do step by step. And yes, this advice comes from someone who has been helping thousands of people every year with their Medicare for the past decade. My name is Stephanie Apt. I'm an independent Medicare broker. My team and I help seniors all across the country to navigate the world of Medicare. So today I want to walk you through this as if I were turning 65. So not as an insurance broker explaining all of the Medicare jargon to you, just letting you know person to person what I would personally do if I were turning 65 this year. The first thing I would personally do is learn enough about Medicare to avoid mistakes, but not overwhelm myself. The things I would really focus on is understanding and learning the basics of Medicare Part A, which is your hospital insurance coverage, Medicare Part B, which is your medical insurance coverage, Medicare Part C, which is Medicare Advantage, an optional part of Medicare, as well as Medicare Part D, your prescription drug coverage. So you don't need to become an expert. You don't need to become an agent. You just need to understand enough so that you know what your options are when you're getting on a Medicare. The next thing I do is get really clear about my enrollment timeline, and I would mark it on my calendar. Now, I want to add a caveat here, and that caveat is that some people may not even need Medicare when they are turning 65. So if you're someone who's actively working, you have health insurance through your employer, you plan to keep your employer health plan, you plan to keep actively working, and your employer has 20 or more employees, then you can delay Medicare. You don't have to do anything when you turn 65, or you can choose to enroll in Medicare Part A only, which is free for most people. So before I mark anything on my calendar or get too caught up in enrollment deadlines, I would decide whether or not I even need to enroll in Medicare Part B if I'm still working and have health insurance through my employer, or if my spouse is still actively employed and I have health insurance through their plan. But if I know I need Medicare at age 65, I would go ahead and mark off my initial enrollment period timeline on my calendar, and that starts 3 months before the month I turn 65. It also includes my 65th birth month and goes up to 3 months after the month I turn 65. But if I want my coverage to start on the first day of the month that I turn 65, then I'll need to enroll in Medicare in the 3 months prior to that start date. But if I miss that 7-month enrollment window, that could mean late enrollment penalties for me for life for Medicare Part B and or Medicare Part D. So it's really important that you mark those on your calendar and don't forget them. Step number 3 is I would decide whether I wanted a Medicare Advantage plan, also known as Part C of Medicare, or a Medicare supplement plan. Now, this decision is one of the most important decisions that you're going to make when you go onto Medicare, if not the most. And this is also where people tend to get the most confused. Now, I have a lot of videos that go into depth about Medicare Advantage versus Medicare supplement. I personally don't think there is one right path that everyone should choose. I think it's very nuanced. It depends on where you live. It depends on your health, your budget, and several other factors. But put simply, if I wanted predictable costs, nationwide access to providers, fewer restrictions, and I had it within my monthly budget to afford an additional monthly premium, then I would choose a Medicare supplement plan with traditional Medicare. If I wanted a low monthly premium, bundled extra benefits like dental and vision, and I'm okay with staying in certain regions or using certain doctor networks, then I would strongly look at Medicare Advantage plan. There is no one size fits all. So like I mentioned before, it really depends on your needs, your health, and your budget. As an independent Medicare broker, and based on my personal experience and based on my personal preferences and needs, if it were me, I would look at a Medicare supplement plan, specifically Plan N. The reason I would consider Plan N is that I'm in pretty good health. I don't go to the doctor that often. And when I do go to the doctor, I wouldn't mind paying a small copay. I could afford an additional monthly premium for Plan N. And because I'm someone who enjoys traveling, I would like the opportunity to be able to choose my own doctors wherever I am. I also know that Plan N tends to get lower rate increases over the life life of the policy when compared to other popular Medicare supplement plans. So for me personally, that's the plan that I would be looking at. Step 4 is I would not pick a plan based on just ads. So if you're someone that's turning 65, you know better than anyone that you start to get so many mailers, things coming to you in the mail, people calling you on the phone trying to sell you plans. You see all of the TV commercials. If I were turning 65 this year, I would take all of that advertisement mail and throw it in the recycling bin. The ads that you see, especially the ones on TV, they don't know your doctors, your needs. They don't know your health history. So your Medicare decision is and should be personalized. And that leads me to step 5, which of course I'm a little biased here, but I would choose to work with a trusted independent Medicare broker. So I would absolutely work with an independent broker rather than a captive broker. Independent brokers represent many different insurance companies, while captive brokers typically just work for one insurance company. So they may just work for Humana, for example. You really want a broker that's independent. That way their allegiance is to you as the consumer rather than to any one insurance company. Now, of course, my team and I are licensed in 48 states. Our service is completely free of charge. We help hundreds of people every month with their Medicare plan. But even if you choose to work with someone else, you don't work with me and my team, that's fine. You do want to find a broker that you can trust and that you feel comfortable with and that you feel has your best interest at heart. Any independent broker's service should be free of charge. So if they're trying to charge you a fee, they should not be charging you any fees. Additionally, you want to make sure that your broker can compare multiple different plans and plan types with multiple different insurance companies, and that they're going to be there for you to answer any questions you may have down the road or potentially help you if claims issues arise in the future. So those are some important questions that you'll want to ask when you're choosing an independent broker to work with. And the final step that I'll list here is that I would think long-term, not just for this year. So I wouldn't just ask myself, what's the cheapest right now? Let's say I'm looking at a Medicare supplement plan. I would not just base that decision on which plan is the cheapest one today. Instead, I would really think about questions like, what happens if my health changes? What happens if I want to change plans in the future? Because you may or may not be able to change plans in the future. It's going to depend upon your health in some cases. So the best Medicare plan for you today may or may not be the best Medicare plan for you down the road. So this is where we like to tell our clients, think about your health history or even your family's health history. Does cancer run in your family? Do you have chronic conditions that you have a history of that you may be needing to think about in the future? One reason I mention this specifically is because in most states, Medicare supplement plans like the Plan N, Plan G, etc., these plans are often medically underwritten when you are no longer new to Medicare. So you may or may not be able to change your plan in the future. It's going to depend on your health in most states. And that's something that unfortunately many people just don't realize until it's too late. I would also set a calendar reminder for October 1st every year to look at my plan's annual notice of change document. So if I have a Medicare Part D prescription drug plan or a Medicare Part C Medicare Advantage plan, most people will have one or the other, I'm going to receive an annual notice of change document in the mail every year, and it's going to go over the changes to my plan. Most people usually receive it by the end of September or the very beginning of October, and so many people accidentally throw it away or ignore it, and then they are very surprised when their plan has some big changes for the coming year, and they may or may not have been able to actually make the changes that they wanted to their plan. So it's very important every year that you remind yourself, because life gets busy and we forget. Remind yourself to look for that annual notice of change document every year. And if you have a broker, they should also be contacting you and reminding you to shop and look at your plan every year so that you can always be on the best plan at the best price to meet your needs. So if you're turning 65, take a deep breath. You do not have to figure this out alone. Through many years of helping seniors who are new to Medicare, I developed a Medicare checklist. It has all of the important dates that you need to know, what you should be doing 1 year out, 6 months out, 3 months out, etc. So I've linked that checklist in the video description below. And My team and I are here to help. You can call or email us anytime. We help seniors every day, many of whom find us right here online, and we'd love the opportunity to assist you as well. If this video helped you today, please like, subscribe, leave any questions and comments that you have for me below. I love to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.